Hello, welcome to the Bomb Shelter. I'm your host this episode, Jay McDowell, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Kevin Schumm.
Yay!
Yay! This is a very special episode, part one of two very special episodes, as we are celebrating MARJOE Madness.
Yes, MARJOE Madness. MARJOE Gortner.
MARJOE Gortner. You may ask what MARJOE Madness is. This is our non-athletically inclined take on March Madness.
Yep.
Except we're going to celebrate all that is MARJOE Gortner. And this time, in episode 1 of 2, we are going to take on 1976's Food of the Gods.
More frightening than his War of the Worlds. More imaginative than his time machine. Now, H.G. Wells' masterpiece of science fiction, The Food of the Gods. The terrifying tale of man fighting for his life against an ecology gone berserk. This is the last chance for an unsuspecting world against harmless animals and insects made huge and vicious by the food of the gods. MARJOE Gortner. MARJOE Gortner. Pamela Franklin. Ralph Meeker. Ida Lupino. H.G. Wells' The Food of the Gods for a Taste of Hell. Rated PG.
And there you have it, the trailer for Food of the Gods.
Yep.
This movie, it's loosely based on a portion of the H.G. Wells novel, The Food of the Gods, and how it came to Earth. It's got a pretty respectable pedigree as far as these movies go. It was directed by the one and only Burt I. Gordon, who was making his initial introduction onto the Bomb Shelter.
Yep.
He is known for making several movies involving large monsters and questionable special effects. The writers for this movie are technically H.G. Wells for part of it, and Burt I. Gordon, man of many talents. The stars of the movie, of course, we have Mr. MARJOE Gortner as Morgan. It
was nice to see him as the first listed as
actually
the
starring,
credits.
Yeah.
Not just he's in it, but he is the main guy.
Yeah, the first name pop across there. A lot of you probably know who MARJOE is, but he was really prevalent in the 70s in a lot of the disaster movies.
Yep.
And he was in things like Earthquake and Viva Knievel, which, pay attention, that might be coming up somewhere. Yep. Eventually American Ninja 3, Blood Hunt, Star Crash, and lots of 80s TV.
Yep.
We also have the, I guess you kind of call her the love interest, well, the female lead at least.
Yeah.
Pamela Franklin is Lorna. She's been in such wonderfully named movies as Satan's School for Girls and The Legend of Hell House, and almost every TV series in the 70s.
I was going to say, she looks really familiar, and I was thinking, well, probably from one of the million TV shows in the 70s she's on, but I think it's actually Legend of Hell House that I'm picturing, like the main reason I'm remembering her face.
Yeah. When I was looking up her stats in IMDb, it was like everything, just any show you could think of from the 70s, and she played bit parts on it.
Is she one of those, like, one episode on this, one episode on that, like not reoccurring characters?
Yeah, and sometimes 2 episodes of the same show, but like a year apart and
different characters.
Yeah. We have Ralph Meeker, who plays Bensington, the jerk of the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him from anything, but I mean, I know his stats say that he started acting in 1951 and went on to 1980, so that was quite a long time. And he did a lot of movies and TV in the 70s, character parts, and Ironside, and Room 222, and Police Story, things like that. We have the only other name other than MARJOE Gortner that sounded familiar until I looked at her stats, and is Ida Lupino. She plays Mrs. Skinner, and she had an even longer career. She was an actress from 1931 to 1978. Primarily TV work. Later on in her career, she had character parts on Charlie's Angels and Columbo and The Streets of San Francisco. So
yeah,
she's probably familiar if you watched a lot of
she
TV
definitely
like that.
familiar to me, but I definitely couldn't place her.
Yeah, the name was the thing that stuck out. But we have Belinda Belaski, who plays Rita. She's Thomas's wife. We'll get to Thomas in a second.
Yeah.
She has been in pretty much most of Joe Dante's films.
Okay.
She was in Piranha. She's in Gremlins, Gremlins 2, The Howling, a lot of his movies. She was also in Matinee and, as you can probably guess, 70s and 80s TV.
Yeah.
Like, apparently that's where they found all these people.
All these people, yeah.
And playing Tom is Tom Stovall. Yeah, Rita's husband. And in looking at his IMDb page, he had a lot of 70s TV where the writers didn't bother to give him a name.
Ah.
It was like,
just
man standing at turnstile, things like that.
Whenever I see, I used to think this with kids, but whenever I see a character in a movie or TV show whose name in that TV show or movie is the same as their actual name, I know this isn't true, but I used to always think like they were too stupid to understand that they're acting, so the only way to make it work was to call him by their real name, because if you called him like Jeff, he would never look. He'd be like, "Who's Jeff?"
He'd never
Tom.
respond. They'd be like, "Tom, that's you." Oh, you said Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my name's Tom. Okay. Here,
All right.
Let me see your
Fine.
script.
Your character. Okay, your name's now Tom.
I can't remember who it was. There was another, and I think his name was Tom. Another actor, like every movie he was in, his name.
It was
Tom.
his real name. He's just that dumb. Marjoe must be smart. He never played someone named Marjoe, except for in his documentary, which we'll talk about in probably a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll get around to Mr. Gortner. Well, the details of the movie, the about. I lifted this from IMDb, and it really doesn't even go into the insanity that we see on screen. I quote from IMDb: "A group of friends travel to a remote Canadian island to hunt, only to be attacked by giant killer animals which have populated the place."
Yeah, that's pretty...
It's very generic.
Really generic and almost untrue in a way. Like, I mean, a group of friends, well, they weren't necessarily... I mean, they're not enemies, but they weren't just like some buddies from high school or something.
Well, actually, you had, at the beginning of it, you had Marjoe, Brian, and I can't remember where the first guy was that died. But they were all, because in this movie, Marjoe Gordner's a football player.
Yeah.
And so his football playing friends, professional football, I'm assuming, they play for the team.
The team, yeah. There's no specifics. They go to the island and they play for a team.
The team.
The team.
And they, they're buds, and then Mr. and Mrs. Skinner, although we don't see them on screen together because Mr. Skinner meets his demise.
Yeah, he dies pretty quickly.
They're obviously a couple, and then Tom and Rita.
Yeah.
And Rita is very heavy with child.
They're the Winnebago couple.
Yeah. And then Lorna and Bensington are work colleagues.
Yeah.
And so they are all kind of grouped together. They're all grouped. There's no just one single person.
Yeah.
Really.
That's true.
So, but as far as friends, maybe not. And then it's just very generic, and
there's a lot more to it.
Giant killer animals. Well, technically, but really there were only two animals. Well, three.
Three,
the giant chicken.
Yeah,
which we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
So,
but it's always hard with these, especially movies like these. It seems like, I mean, if we were to describe Star Wars, I guess any movie really. I mean, if you're going to describe Star Wars, how do you really describe it without several sentences? I mean, you could just say like a generic one sentence, but then you would say, well, but there's really more to it. So I guess it's just hard to wrap up maybe any movie in just a sentence or two.
Yeah.
But they seem to do a really bad job on some of these B movies.
Yeah. I think they just gave up after watching them.
Yeah.
Well, onto the movie itself. Basically, you've got, like we said, Marjoe and his friends starting out, and they find out things are going wrong when one of his teammates are attacked by giant wasps. And stung to death, and which is pretty gory. This movie does have even though it's the raspberry red blood, there's a lot of gore. but not so much the amount, it's how long it takes.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, well, spoiler alert, the animals are giant rats.
Yeah.
That they end up fighting for most of the movie. And when they attack in just droves.
Yeah.
And I think there's only one where it's one rat attacking one person.
Yeah.
And when they do attack, it's just they maul and maul and maul and maul.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a quick swipe or a quick bite, and then they go, and maybe show silhouette, and you hear it, and then it fades.
Yeah.
It just
keeps going.
on.
This would be not a good little kid movie.
Yeah, I would say so. It borders on 70s TV movie, but it did have a theatrical release, and there are a couple words in it. Nothing too major.
Yeah, I don't know what it's rated, but there's not, besides a couple words and of course gore and scariness, I guess.
Yeah.
There's not a lot in it.
I would imagine it probably would have gotten a PG back in the day.
I think so back then.
So, but
their friend gets stung by a giant wasp.
By a giant wasp, in which the coroner determines because of course Marjoe, I'm going to just call him Marjoe, not Morgan,
that's
because he
name.
just is Marjoe. Marjoe and Brian don't tell anybody what happened because they did see it.
Yeah.
And the coroner says, oh, well, he had to have been stung nearly 250 times.
250 times, I think, yeah.
And it's like, well, did you see 250 stings?
I guess they all stung in the exact same spot. Okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now your turn.
I drilled a hole for you.
Yeah.
So Marjoe decides they need to go back and find out what's going on, because they did come across Skinner's farm and found the title, the title food of the gods.
Yeah.
It's like the creamy center of the earth is oozing out.
Yeah, it kind of leaks from this one spot in this rock, yeah.
And the Skinners found out, because they have this farm, and they found out that it made the animals grow really fast. And
baby animals.
The baby animals,
yeah.
That's right. Because the adult animals
get
as Mrs. Skinner says, I quote, et.
They get et, which is the past version of eight, right? Or another
Canadian
way of saying it.
I think it's Canadian.
Canadian, okay.
So hijinks ensue, and then Bensington and Lorna show up, and they're with like a biofoods type of thing, like a Monsanto thing, and they were called there to see this, and then Mrs. Skinner's like, well, not without Mr. Skinner here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Skinner already met his demise.
He's already dead. So the whole movie she keeps saying, when he gets here, or he'll be here.
Yeah, basically, I'm not conducting any business until then.
Yeah.
And Bensington is a jerk, and he's trying to push her, try to sign off on it, and then he ends up trying to take some of this stuff. He starts scooping it up and putting it in buckets and jars and stuff, and he's going to take it back with him. And he tries to pull I'm doing it for the betterment of humanity, for the children, as he says, and and it's not. It's just he's greedy.
Yeah.
And he of course meets his end because of that greed.
Yeah.
But Lorna is a little more. I think she's actually a scientist of some sort, if I remember correctly.
It seems like it, yeah.
And then we eventually run into the unmarried couple, because they make a big scene about that.
She does not want to get married, and he does, which is,
and she's very pregnant, and why they went out on a
hey, I'm really, really pregnant, about to give birth. Let's go on a camping trip.
Let's go on a camping trip, with someone who obviously does not know how to operate the Winnebago.
Yeah.
And so they you've got that thrown in there, and that tension, and of course she goes into labor and gives birth.
Yeah.
And the baby is shown, and it's really weird. It's like, thanks, Bert. We really didn't need to see.
We understand what babies are.
Yeah. So basically, the rest of the movie just turns into surviving against the rats horde, kind of trying to come and eat everybody.
And I guess, technically there should be other giant animals, but really rats are the main enemy. But you do see wasps, and with this one part you see chickens.
Oh, and the maggots.
Oh, and maggots, that's right.
Maggots that Mrs. Skinner just allows to chomp on her arm while she
But
screams.
the food of the gods definitely can affect it seems like pretty much any sort of
anything that eats it.
Yeah.
Because as Marjoe finds out early on, there are giant chickens in the in the hen house.
Yeah.
And he fights for an extended amount of time the rooster.
Yep.
Until it finally
he pitchforks it or something.
Pitchforks it. Yeah, that's right. And then you hear it just fall over.
Yeah.
But we go on, and they do eventually. Well, Marjoe and the married couple and Lorna make it out, and then as was the motif of these movies, these Earth Strikes Back movies of the 70s, it's we destroyed it all. We shudder to think of what
could have happened if this would have got out.
And as it turns out, it does.
Yeah, you see the there's no spoiling it in this, but there's a kind of a flood, and the water kind of washes some of the FOTG, food of the gods, but that's how they label the jars.
Yeah.
It kind of seeps down in, gets run off, seeps down into a place where some cows are drinking.
Yeah. And then it goes through their milk.
And then
the end, we see the little
kids
drinking
milk. So
and we assume they're all giant kids.
Yeah.
Because they've been drinking a lot of milk.
Yep.
And then basically it's one of those kind of sting endings.
Yeah. It should have been the end? Question mark.
Yeah, question mark. Yeah.
But the food of the gods, the actual substance, at first we were trying to think of what it looks like. It looks like a million things, but I'm thinking gravy, possibly like biscuits and gravy kind of gravy, the white gravy.
Or at times tapioca.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe nougat before it kind of firms up in a Snickers. But I don't know. I don't think I would eat the food of the gods, but it looks kind of good. Like I might kind of want to eat it.
At the end, it kind of looked like spoiled mayonnaise.
Yeah, so that's true. But when it's seeping out and it's like, oh, is this like fresh nougat? I'm like,
fresh creamy filling.
Yeah, maybe I'd eat it.
Well, Skinner said she couldn't get the chickens to eat it without putting it in their grain.
Yeah.
That I guess the saving grace was that nothing would eat it on its own.
Yeah.
And except the wasp. The wasp did.
Yeah.
Eat it on its own. But the rats, they ate other food that I think had been tainted with it.
I think so too.
And then the cows, of course, ingested it through the water.
Yeah.
The chickens wouldn't eat it on. So I guess that was kind of the movie's way of going, this is why everything hasn't been embiggened on the island.
Yep.
Because nothing will eat it without it being mixed with something.
And that's why, you don't have just a nougat bar. You have Snickers. It has nougat in it, but it also has chocolate, peanuts, caramel.
The chocolate and peanuts are the nougat delivery mechanism.
Yeah. So,
because who's going to eat nougat on its own?
I think
Kevin.
I would.
So that's the rundown of the movie. The plot is pretty basic. I mean, it's survival. It's nature's taking over animals, and it's very heavy-handed in its environmental message, like a lot of the movies back then were. You had Earthquake, you had Prophecy,
Prophecy. I was just trying to think of what was that one with Talia Shire? Yeah,
the mutant bear and the exploding sleeping bag.
Yeah,
I think we need to watch that one.
We do. I first learned about that movie from, not to get off topic, but from a Stephen King book, and I always wanted to see it, and finally found out a video story on VHS when I was a kid. So excited to see it, then it just was like, oh, it wasn't very good.
When I was a kid, I was terrified of it because of the picture of the mutant baby bear on the cover.
Yeah.
And so it terrified me.
It is scary.
And then years later, I was looking at some other bad movie site, and they had a GIF of the exploding sleeping bag part. And I was like, I have got to see this.
Yep.
So I did, and it was awesome.
Yeah. It's a good movie in that way. It's just not a good movie in
movie making.
It's not an actual good movie, but it's a good movie for what we do.
But it does go along the lines of the same thing where animals like Night of the Lepus, you have the giant rabbits and stuff like that, and it was very big in the 70s. And the environmental message, back when we had the Indian crying because of the pollution, and woodsy owl and all that. So it was a big thing back then. As far as there's a few famous, well, not famous, well known, like we said earlier. You got Burt I. Gordon,
Yeah.
who Burt Ira Gordon. So actually, his name worked.
Yeah.
He was, AKA Burt I. Gordon, AKA Mr. B.I.G. He was
Wow.
the first B.I.G. and judging by his movies, he was rather notorious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he notorious? I guess so.
And he unleashed more giant monster movies on Earth than one thought possible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just he did King Dinosaur, The Amazing Colossal Man, beginning of the end with the giant grasshoppers crawling across the postcard of Chicago, Earth versus the Spider, and then another loosely based on the same H.G. Wells book called Village of the Giants.
Village of the Giants.
Basically, it was teenagers got a hold of it and ate it, and then hijinks ensued.
I haven't seen that one. I think I need to.
It was one of the, I think it was a little bit after this movie that came out. I can't remember what year. And it was, the movie itself was distributed by American International Pictures, more commonly known as AIP. And they were known for cranking out these cheap movies really quick.
Yeah.
And usually Roger Corman was involved in it, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But they were one of those companies that they would make a movie really cheap, make a lot of money off it, and then to their credit, they would funnel all that movie into their next, or all that money into their next movie. So they probably made some, money off it, but they knew how to funnel and keep those movies coming out at a steady pace.
Yeah.
So good on them for that.
Yeah.
The movie itself actually had a box office haul of $1 million, and it was the most successful AIP release of 1976. So
not
that
bad.
says something.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it is a bad movie, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's not. The special effects are kind of what you'd expect, and I mean, they clearly spent some time and money on
they
on
kind
doing
of
it.
range from really cheesy to not too bad. The wasps, of course, are horrible.
Those don't look real at all.
The superimposed ones, they don't look real. They're see-through.
Yeah.
And then when they do show them on the people, they're like obviously big plastic wasps. I mean, like foot-long wasps. They're huge.
Yeah.
But it's really fake. I mean, when MARJOE Gordner's fighting with one at one point, and he's just like, and just tearing at it, and you see pieces of plastic flying off.
Yeah.
And the giant rooster. It was pretty obvious. It was a big rubber rooster head.
I think what they've done, they kind of do a mix, at least with the rooster and the rats. They do sort of a mix of, what's it called when you show something, it's like a perspective thing where you have...
You think they did forced perspective on something?
Well, no, not forced perspective, but you got two different overlaying...
Like
superimposed,
okay.
yeah. But then when some of the up close, you'll have what's clearly like a large puppet head type thing for the up close, or a model.
A lot of the rat stuff, they had a model of the cabin, which was funny because it wasn't like a Lincoln log, like the real life cabin was like a Lincoln log cabin, and the model one, it was obvious they just made a picture.
Yeah.
And
it's like a model with photos on it.
Yeah.
Pasted on it or something.
Yeah, because there was no dimension to them. It was just flat.
It was just flat.
And then when the rats are eating the Winnebago, which I don't know how they went back to the later on, MARJOE says they got back to the Winnebago, repaired it, and drove off. Well, the rats were eating it. So
I guess they didn't do any major damage.
I guess not. But it was obviously a Winnebago toy and rats crawling over it. There's a Winnebago, a toy Jeep that, just they would use miniatures. And
then have real rats play or eat or whatever around it.
And run it all in slow motion so they look like they were giant.
Yeah.
And it actually, a lot of that came out pretty good.
Yeah.
There's only one scene where they superimposed a rat with an actor, and it kind of messed up because the rat's ear turned invisible.
Yeah.
But that was really the only one.
Yeah. I mean, for that sort of special effect, it was done about as good as you could do it.
And it was 76.
Yeah.
And if $1 million was the most successful haul of that year, they probably didn't spend more than maybe 50, 100,000.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the
Yeah.
numbers on that, but I could not imagine they spent that much.
Yeah.
And the only disturbing thing really for me
Oh yeah.
was it was really apparent that there were scenes where the actors were shooting shotguns at the rats, and it was pretty apparent that the rats were actually being shot by a BB gun or
By
something.
a BB gun or something. Yeah.
Because there was a lot of blood and there's a lot of rat meat flying around.
Yeah. At first, I was hoping that they were doing something with like red paint and carnage and straws and blowing them at the rats, but
Or overlays of you know, just going back in and manually drawing in.
yeah. But I think it was pretty clear that it was actually rats getting shot.
Yeah, because they would fly, eyes are closed. They drowned a lot of rats.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the ASPCA was not involved in
Yeah,
this
I don't
in
think
making
so.
this movie.
We were saying that this may be the reason they started getting involved in movies. Yeah, several rats were definitely injured or killed.
Several rats. So that was a little disturbing, distasteful, because I actually like rats. I've had pet rats. They're nice.
I don't like rats, but I still don't want them to get shot for a movie. You know, like it's one thing if it's pest control, but there's another thing where you ship in all these rats and then shoot them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they weren't supposed to be there anyway.
It was kind of like I was telling Kevin, it's kind of like taking all the actors
Yeah.
and putting them in a movie where they get shot and actually shooting them.
Yeah, and then saying, okay, well, the best way to do this is to just shoot you.
To really shoot you, yes. So that was a
Yeah.
little disturbing, but all in all, not a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Very of its time.
Yep.
With the message and everything, and the acting really even wasn't that bad. Meeker's Bensington character was a little over the top.
Yeah. He was so mean that
You were rooting for the rats.
yeah, I mean, but he's so mean that it wasn't even business smart to be how he was. He was just
cartoon villain mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
just
if he's
being a
supposed to be
jerk.
convincing someone to get into some sort of contract with him, it's like, well, you're the worst salesman ever.
Yeah, don't go up and berate them and belittle them and then go and try and steal their stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and even Lorna mentioned that. She's like, you know, you kind of maybe want to act human
Yeah.
around him. And he's like, well, whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a bad
so
guy.
yeah, so when he got eaten, it was
a good
it was
thing.
a good thing. So so that's really it for the movie. And I
It's
didn't check
probably
the time,
it
so-
is just right, perfectly timed for a break right now.
Okay.
So why don't we go ahead and do that, and maybe we'll come back and talk about our real theme, MARJOE Gortner.
MARJOE Gortner, the man of the month.
Yep. So we will be right back.
See you in a minute. And welcome back to the bomb shelter,
Yay.
our special MARJOE Madness. That took a lot out of me.
Yeah. Well, we just had a huge lunch, so we're kind
Yeah, burritos are sitting
of
heavy.
yeah.
So, okay, yeah, we're talking about the movie Food of the Gods, and right now we're going to talk a little more about the star of the movie, MARJOE
MARJOE Gortner.
Gortner.
Yeah.
And he's a person who's had an interesting life.
Yeah. And you know, the first time I saw him, I just thought, well, I don't mean this in any mockery way, but he's a little bit different looking, and has obviously a really odd name.
He's got that huge
Fro.
wad of curly
Yeah.
hair. Yeah.
But yeah, he's just an interesting character. And then the more you look into him, it's like, oh wow, well there's a lot to this guy. There's a lot of odd experiences
He's
he
not
had.
a terrible actor, but
No.
in the few things I've seen him in, he acts the same way.
Yeah, he's always the same guy.
Yeah, even if, like in this movie, he's the hero. When we get to Viva Knievel, of course, he's not the bad guy, but he plays kind of the bad part. And I think in a couple other movies, he's kind of the villain. In Star Crash, he's just the jerk.
Yeah, he's supposedly the hero, but that's up for debate.
But he still plays the same character, and I wonder if it's kind of like Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, where they
Yeah.
always just play Tom Cruise and Jack
Yep.
Nicholson.
Yep.
I wonder if he just plays MARJOE Gortner,
Yeah,
and that's it.
If you need a MARJOE Gortner, the best.
Yeah.
I got a guy for you. His name is MARJOE Gortner.
Coincidentally. So at this point, though, Kevin's got a little more knowledge of him.
Yeah,
So I'm going to let him kind of helm this part.
Yeah, I'm by no means an expert. I think I kind of experienced that which is Marjoe before Jay did, so I came into it knowing a little bit more.
He did introduce it,
but really, it's not like I've read or written a book on him or anything. I mean, and even for right now, to be honest, I'm referencing Wikipedia just for the dates and all that because I don't remember stuff like that off the top of my head. We have notes. So yeah, Marjoe Gortner, born January 14, 1944 in Long Beach, California. His actual full name is Hugh Marjoe Ross Gortner.
That is quite the mouthful.
That's a long name. I mean, even the Marjoe like gets my attention, but that's just one of the names.
You think he's got like an extra wide license and driver's license with all to fit the whole name?
Maybe. But yeah, he had a very strange childhood. He actually rose to fame at a really young age, at around 4 years old. Mm-hmm. His parents basically, spoiler alert, forced him to kind of become a child evangelist.
Well, his father, I guess, was an evangelical minister.
Yeah, so they were already in the business.
Yeah.
But it looks, again, I'm not reading something from their perspective, but it seems like they kind of used him as a prop to kind of gain popularity.
Yeah, revivals and stuff.
And apparently
like
millions of dollars as well that they gained off of the attention he got.
They had him basically portrayed as a child faith healer, right?
Yeah, yeah. He would heal people, he would preach, he would perform weddings, and all of this when he's just a really little kid,
like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, can barely knows what they're talking about at that age, you know. Yet but basically they realized that he was great at learning, could mimic things, and they're like, well, again, I'm speaking for them. I don't know. I don't know them. They're not speaking here, but it looks like they basically took advantage of some natural talent this little kid had and basically said, okay, wave your arms like this, yell like this, say this, say that. And I guess he could convincingly do this in front of large audiences. So obviously now they said that the story was that he, got this ability through a vision he had while taking a bath, but Marjoe admitted not admitted because he was a little kid at the time. He said later on, that never happened. They just told me to say that happened, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, and there's even accusations of like mock drownings and even beatings to kind of keep him in line and do what he was supposed to do. So not a good childhood. Actually, as much as I laugh at Marjoe Gortner because of his movies, in general, his whole life, I kind of feel bad. It's like he had a really messed up childhood.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know how my life's hard enough and I had a great childhood. I don't know how you grow up and have a normal life after something like that.
After that kind of mental abuse and physical abuse.
So he grew up with that, and exactly as you'd expect, like anyone who's part of a religion as a kid, at some point in your life, you kind of decide for yourself, like, yes, I like this, or no, I don't. And he obviously, for apparent reasons, didn't want to be involved anymore, because to him it was all just a show. That's what his parents had shown him. So he kind of became sort of like a hippie type character, hung out with like rock stars and that sort of thing. Kind of lost.
Yeah.
And then
he just did his own thing.
Yeah, did his own thing. And then eventually, I think partially because of just needing money, he went back to the one thing he was obviously really good at. He made kind of a revival. Yeah. So he did that for a little while and then started feeling bad about like, okay, well now I'm putting words into his mouth, but I'm kind of doing what my parents did. I'm faking people out for money.
Yeah.
So what he decided to do instead is he actually made a documentary called Marjoe, and it was basically, I've seen it. I don't think you've seen it yet, Jay.
I've not seen it.
We'll watch it sometime. But basically, it kind of gives the history of all that we've just been talking about him, and then the actual current day, while it's being filmed, is about him going out preaching and kind of showing how fake some of that scene is.
He kind of did a backstage behind the scenes thing.
Like, I'm going to go do this, and everyone's going to say that they got healed, but I'm just acting. And then he'll go out on stage, and he'll do something, and someone will say they got healed. And, I mean, he's just admitted that he doesn't even, he's not even praying for them to get healed. He's just yelling and screaming and waving his arms.
Yeah.
So it's a good documentary. It's, it makes me feel even more bad for him. And it actually won the 1972 Academy Award for Best Documentary, I think.
Yeah. So it actually...
it is a good movie. It's a really interesting movie. So let's see, what else? Right after that, it looks like he got into acting. Yeah. You know, some of his first roles.
Early 70s, yeah.
Early 70s, yeah. Stuff. So, I mean, at least, if nothing else, it gave him a way to, you know, to transition into some way to make money. Because apparently he had some really tough times. Oh, by the way, he almost sued his parents once he became an adult for all the money because they made, I think it was $3-4 million off of him.
Jeez.
And I don't think he saw any of that because he was, I think he was basically homeless for a while. I mean, he just didn't get into it. Oh, man. So he was going to sue them and then I guess decided not to for whatever reason. But yeah, got into acting and was in not a ton of movies, but some really great B-grade movies.
Yeah, that's where we kind of...
So yeah, you go on Internet Movie Database. He's not in 100 movies. He's in maybe 20, 25, something like that. But they're all kind of... They're almost all movies we could do on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely need to do American Ninja 3.
Oh yeah, that one's great. I've seen that one.
And and Earthquake and stuff like that. He just, he was very prolific and the movies are very much of their time.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, but he's just an interesting character. He's got a odd life, and he makes some pretty goofy movies, but behind all that, there's sort of a sad story. So he's just a really interesting character. It looks like his career really slowed down starting in the 90s. I think he was only in a couple things in the 90s, and doesn't look like he's done anything.
Yeah, it looks about 95 recently. Was the last thing he did.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's on purpose or just he's not getting work anymore. But yeah. Oh, one other slight trivia on him: he was married to the actress Candy Clark briefly, or
very
actually
briefly, like a year.
Yeah, but
I don't even know it was a year.
So yeah, there was that. But anyway, I mean, I'm by no means an expert on him. I would just say if you're interested in him, watch the documentary. That will give you basically everything of his life up until right before he becomes like a Hollywood actor.
Yeah.
So really interesting guy.
And again, not a terrible actor. But,
no, he's not bad.
But I do wonder if because it'd be interesting to see the documentary to see if he is basically playing Marjoe Gordon and everything he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it'd be interesting to meet him. How old would he be? You do that. Or you're a better math guy than... Well, everyone's a better math guy than me.
No, I'm not.
Okay, never mind.
I could fake it.
Fake it. He was born in 1944.
Well, he would be 74.
So he's fairly 74. Old. Man, that's kind of sad. Okay. I was going to say I'll never... he's probably not going to be in much else because he's just too old to be in things at this point. Maybe
he may surprise us.
Yeah, make another documentary or something like that.
Marjoe 2, the later years.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Going back to the movie.
Yeah.
Let's run over the good and bad, the ugly.
Yeah. So I guess just one at a time. Good.
Yeah, good. Let's see. Well, the effects really weren't.
The effects are good.
There were some that weren't that great, but the parts with the rats were actually really good and really worked well with the people. Even though the giant rats, like puppet head
puppets,
ones, were a little off. They looked enough like a real animal, if not a real rat, to pass. So I think the effects made it pretty good.
I agree, and I think just overall, it's a really, again, for the world that we're speaking of here in this podcast, it's really, really entertaining. Like, I didn't get distracted. I didn't, start thinking about something else. I didn't fall asleep. It's a fun movie to watch. I could watch it again easily.
I think that's the important part with most of these movies, that they at least be entertaining.
Yeah.
So we can
definitely entertaining.
At least not want to bang our head against the door.
Yeah.
As
we've had a couple like that.
But wants me to do.
Yeah.
So
bad.
So bad. Wasn't anything really horribly bad. Although I don't know if he was just played up that way, but Bensington was just to the point of being annoying.
Yeah, like if if the rats didn't kill him, then I think I would have if I were in that movie.
Yeah, I would have taken a shovel to him.
Yeah, because he's just a really, really bad guy.
Just and stupid bad.
Yeah,
because it's
like bad for the sake of being bad.
It's like when before he got it.
Yeah.
When the rats are coming, Marjoe had thrown all of the food.
Yeah.
Out and broke it up and was just in a fit of rage. And of course, Bensington wouldn't do anything.
Yep.
And so then the rats are coming and Gortner's like, get in the house, come on, get in. And he's over there trying to scoop some up still.
Yeah.
And then he gets eaten.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, your own, I mean, I guess it's supposed to show, your own stupidity and your greed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just really dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only part where it was like, he was annoyingly bad guy.
Maybe a little bit too bad for the movie's own good or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and
ugly. There's kind of lots of ugly, like all the creepy animals, I guess, in that way.
Well, the apparent, I would have to look and see, but it looked apparent that the rats were being shot. And and I'm not a huge, I mean, I love me a good steak. And, and not opposed to eat meat and stuff, but when it's just
for entertainment,
killing for entertainment, then it kind of you draw a line at that, and it's kind of distasteful.
Yeah, you're taking rats that again, you don't want wild rats crawling. I mean, if you have a pet, that's one thing, but you don't want just an infestation of rats in your house.
And
but you don't bring the rats to your house and then get mad and start shooting them.
Well, and if it's done like it is now, those are actually rats that are bred. They are your normal rat that you get at a pet store. They're usually white. They're usually or white or black. The ones that I always had, I had one that was blonde and white, one that was black and white, and they would have like a cape or spot or something.
Yeah.
The head's usually black, and they've got a cape on the back.
Yeah.
The rats they're showing here look like your regular old sewer rats, but they do breed them, the brown rats, for movies.
Okay.
Like in Indiana Jones' Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Those were all bred for that particular part.
Yeah.
But still, it's kind of like, but you went and you shot them, and showed it all,
Yeah.
And it probably could have been done in a different way.
Yeah. So I agree. That's definitely true. Yeah.
So that would be the only. I don't know that I would watch this movie again. Just because of that. Yeah. So, but seeing which segues right into the what do we recommend watching?
Yeah.
To check it off the bad movie list. Yeah. Definitely recommend it.
And you watching, this is a real weird thing to say, but you watching it, obviously the rats got shot. It happened. You watching or not watching it doesn't make that
change it.
True or not. Yeah. But then again, you can.
It was 40-something years ago.
This is way beyond a podcast, but that line of thinking can take you to really bad places. But it's a goofy movie. It exists. It's a famous bad movie. You should, if you like movies like this, you should definitely watch it.
At least give it one shot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Well, shot. That was probably a poor choice of words. At least give it one viewing. I wouldn't really recommend it with kids though, because that would be a little traumatic, maybe.
Yeah, little kids would. I mean, it upset me. The getting shot part upset me as an adult. The little kids are going to get upset by that. Plus the rats eating people. All of that's going to be pretty scary for a little kid.
Stuff. So yeah. So, but otherwise, give it a shot. There you go again. Give it a watch. Give it a view, and then move on.
Yeah. So yeah, Food of the Gods, Part 1 of MARJOE Madness. So,
which hopefully there'll be many years of Marjoe.
Yeah, we've looked at his the filmography, and we're thinking, we could do several years of this.
Yes, there are quite a few movies to do.
In fact, my favorite so far that I've seen Marjoe movie, we're not even doing this year, maybe next year. But having said that, I think that's about it. If you enjoyed this, you've most likely at this point in our career found us on YouTube at Valley Lodge Productions.
Yeah, the one and only place so far.
The only one and only place. Someday, hopefully, maybe you'll find us somewhere else. But
still
for now,
working on that iTunes.
Yes. But if you'd like to contact us, the easiest way would be to email us at valleylodgeproductions@gmail.com.
And please do, because our inbox so far is filled with, hey, this is what you could do with your YouTube account, or this is what you could do with your Gmail account. And it's like, it'd be nice to actually have a real person say, hey, here's podcast is really cool.
Yeah, or even I hate it. Well, at least someone watched it or listened to it.
Yeah, I'll delete it, but
yeah,
you know.
yeah, definitely, and send back a really nasty email.
There you go.
Find your address by searching online, and then hunt and
show up at your house and sticking a giant rat on you.
But do it anyway.
There you go.
So, well, if you enjoyed this also, then you could also listen to our next episode, which will be coming up soon, part 2 of MARJOE Madness.
MARJOE Madness. And it'll be an awesome movie, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So there you have it.
All right.
Bomb Shelter. MARJOE Madness.
Goodbye.